setup involves having a shoulder rest, which works for you. Now, a shoulder rest is not a chest rest. So make sure that your shoulder, so you've got the curve going up and the curve going down. So the curve going up here is to rest on your shoulder. It's literally a shoulder rest. So make sure, sometimes my students do not have a good setup. If they don't have a good setup, often this ends up sliding down here and their violin's sitting in front of them instead of just a little bit to the side there. So in that case, they need to go and try out some different types of shoulder rests. I use a kun. I've always used a kun. There are others that are like a copy of a kun, which are very similar in style. But it's not for everybody, okay? I've always used one. It's always worked for me. I had no need to change it. I have tried some other ones, more fancy looking ones, and put them on, and straight away I was like, this is ridiculous. Why am I trying this? There's nothing wrong with what I've got. It works perfectly for me. So I stick to my old trusty kun. You can get extra long feet for these. So these are literally just screws, right? They come out and you can make them higher or lower. So if I'm working with a student and something's not quite right about their setup, that's one thing that we'll play around with first, because it's there available to us. We'll just try and adjust the height of the feet to see if that works for us. Once you've got that though, I mean, that's only one half of it. So you've got your shoulder rest, your chin rest as well. So this is a teka or tika, however you want to say it, T-E-K-A, I'm actually not sure, but I've always said, no, so teka. Works for me. Again, it's not for everybody. Sometimes students are really comfortable with something that feels absolutely horrible for me. So getting the right one for you, the right setup, and it's a combination of the chin rest and the shoulder rest. So we don't want one of them to be really, really high and the other one to be really flat. We want them sort of an equal, fairly equal sort of distance from the top to the bottom. So you don't want to be like, have your violin sitting right up here or right down here. So you just sort of, so it's nice and centered in the neck there is a really good, comfortable or good place to be. We do need to be comfortable. So how do you know if your setup's not good? Two main things I would say. One, your violin wants to keep moving, okay? Number two, you just can't get comfortable. I've had students on numerous occasions who just constantly sort of fiddling around like this when they're trying to play, and it's just ridiculous. We can't actually play anything. So I always recommend going to one of our local shops. So we've got two local full-time shops dedicated to violins in Brisbane, where I live. So whatever it is in your town, hopefully you've got one. If you don't, shoot me a message down below and we'll have a chat and see what we can maybe sort out for you. So I always recommend going into the shops where they have several different types of shoulder rests and chin rests and trying them out. And I always say to students, don't just try it out for a few seconds and say, yeah, that feels fine, and just buy it and go. You've got to try it for a decent amount of playing, because sometimes you might go like this and it feels fine, but what happens after you start playing for a while? Yeah. I'm going to also say though, another thing that I think impacts students' setups is not always this. It's actually an issue with their hold. If this keeps falling down here, go and play on the monkey bars, and I'm dead serious. You've got to get stronger in your arm. Your arms, you're not used to, I mean, it's not a heavy thing, right? But you don't walk around like this, okay, every day. So you've got to get used to your arm being in this position. Your muscles have to get strong in this position, yeah? It's going to move around a little bit, but you have to keep this nice space here. We can't have it falling down here, because that just means the violin's going to be down here. We want our violin not shooting up to the sky, not tipping a cup of tea out the end, is what I like to say to students. So fairly parallel, okay, but where it can sit comfortably, not to the front like this, a little bit to the side, yeah, and that's that.